Well, hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bobbie and this is Bobbie Reads Tarot. And I think I'm just going to make it a thing where Saturdays are non-tarot videos because that just seems to be what's been happening lately. So the topic of today's video, even though it's a non-tarot video, I want you to stick with me because this is going to explain why I do what I do. So the topic for today is, why do I do what I do, and why do I share tarot readings or share information about doom and gloom and stuff that's coming up? I've had a lot of people leaving comments in the comment section saying how, my channel is getting too dark, it's too scary, it's too gloomy and doomy. So let's talk about it, okay? So first of all, let me tell you that I will always give you guys the truth as I see it, as I know it, okay? I'm never going to intentionally mislead you. If I make a mistake, I'm going to completely own up to it. And I wanted to point you guys the right direction. With that comes added responsibility. Now, I could read tarot cards and I could make everything all happy and pretty and flowery, but the reality is that is not what we're headed into. Now, I do not make these videos to scare people or to fearmonger. And I know that there are people that think that as well. And I know that not everyone can handle the content I put out. It's very trigger warning. It talks about a lot of things that are very intense. And that's why I also talk about in my videos about raising our vibrations, about watching how much content you consume that can be stressful. And I've also talked to you guys about ways that you can be prepared and ways that you can be ready. And I tried to give you guys reassurance, right? That if you're one of the people that's here watching my video, chances are you are going to be fine. Your energy is aligned with this shift, okay? So please don't stress out. I know, and if watching this stresses you out, as much as I love you guys and as much as I want to have you here as part of my community, I do understand if you can't watch this content. Please understand that I know that. And I completely respect that. Okay. But the reason that I do create this content is that there are people who are ready to hear this. Also, I know what's coming. And for me, I feel like my purpose and the reason that I read tarot on YouTube is because I feel compelled to try to warn people, to try to help people. And that's why I started doing what I do. It is not always comfortable to talk about these things. And if you guys knew me in my real life, I'm actually a really positive person. I'm sure you can tell that from the energy in my videos. So I'm not going to go on and on about that. But in my personal life, I'm really happy and I try to look on the bright side. Of course, I'm a human. So I have my down times, my bad days, but where my energy dips. But I do always try to keep things, positive. But I do think it's important that people understand what's coming so they can choose how they want to prepare for it. Now, I know that some people see my tarot readings and they say that's not really going to happen. Okay, and that's fine. If you don't believe that it's going to happen and this content isn't helpful for you, again, then don't watch, okay? And I'm not saying that to be rude, well, don't watch. I'm saying it if something bothers you, for your sake, to take care of yourself, don't watch it. That's what I'm trying to say. But I'm not going to pretend like everything that's coming is sunshine and rainbows, because it is absolutely not. It's not. And if I can help one person hear the warning and be prepared, then I've done my duty. So let's talk about why I'm so convinced that something's going to happen, because that's a really great question, right? What makes me so convinced that we're headed towards some dark times? Is it only what I've seen in the tarot cards? Have I had some kind of a vision? What is it? Okay, I'm going to be completely straight with you guys. I've seen a lot in the tarot cards. I am going to say that. But the majority of where I'm getting my information is from texts that we've had for thousands of years. I'm not Christian, okay? I'm Buddhist. But if you read the Bible, if you read the Quran, they both talk about end times. If you look at different religions, if you look at the Hindu religion, they talk about the end of the Kali Yuga and the coming Satyuga, and that's essentially what this is. The Bible talks about the rapture. So I've gotten so much of my information from that, and then the cards and my eyeballs are seeing like, okay, it's all adding up. It's all happening. I've also had a few dreams. Last night I had a dream that there was an earthquake, and then today there was the 7.4 earthquake off of the coast of Chile, I believe it was, which thankfully everyone was okay. They did have a tsunami warning, but so I do have some dreams and things like that, and I do look at the tarot, but I also look at, what's going on around us. And so I wanted to share with you guys, I've talked a little bit about these Dolores Cannon books. I did a video on the first book, which was the Conversations with Nostradamus, and I will link that. I don't know if it's going to pop up over here, but wherever it's popping up, boop, 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 click on it if you want to go see it. But the second version, or the second book, the second volume, has more of Nostradamus's quatrains that I did not cover in that first video. So I wanted to share some of these with you, just so that you understand, like, so that you have the information I have, so that you know, like, why am I doing this? What's raising my little alarm bells? Okay. So for those of you who don't know, Nostradamus lived a really long time ago. I want to say the 1500s, but now I'm questioning myself as to when he lived. Alexa, when was Nostradamus alive?
Nostradamus died on July 2nd, 1566 at the age of 62 years.
Okay, 1566 at the age of 62. So that means he was born at like 1504. Okay, so I was right, 1500s. And Nostradamus was a very wise man. He was a physician, but he was able to do these crazy things that no one could do. Like, he could perform surgery, and he was able to do it without anesthetic because he used acupuncture and pressure points and hypnosis and all of these. He was doing things that people could not do. And he wrote these things. They're called quatrains, and they're these poems that he wrote, and he wrote them in puzzle. And so a lot of these are like words or anagrams, or it's all in code. And then he wrote it in a different language. So then there's translation, and the quatrains have confused people for a very long time. Like, what is he talking about? What's going on here? So I want to share some of these quatrains with you guys, and you tell me what you think. Okay. You tell me if this, because Nostradamus is trying to warn people, like, hey, when the end is coming, this is what's going to happen. So one of the quatrains is, after the victory of the raging tongue, the spirit tempted in tranquil rest. Throughout the battle, the bloody victor makes speeches, roasting the tongue, the flesh, and the bones. Okay, so after the victory of the raging tongue, who has had a raging tongue? Trump. So it talks about, after that, the spirit will be tempted into tranquil rest. Throughout the battle, the bloody victor. So Trump was the victor, but he has blood on his hands. He's a bloody victor. Makes speeches. Well, he makes speeches all the time. That's what he loves to do. Roasting the tongue, the flesh, and the bones. To me, you can interpret this to, obviously, that's the thing you have to be careful with, right? Because you can take something and really apply it to anything if you stretch it far enough, okay? So listen to these with like an open mind, okay? Now, here's the next one that they talk about. It says, before long, everything will be organized. We await a very evil century. The state of the masked and solitary ones greatly changed. Few will find that they wish to retain their rank. So this is interesting, you guys. So this talks about a century of evil, a very evil century, 100 years. So if we look back, when did World War II start? World War II really kicked off in the 1930s. And it's 2025. And this time of turmoil is expected to go until about 2039, 2040. Okay. So So that's 100 years. So this just makes me think like this is the time right now that he's talking about. He says, the state of the masked and the solitary ones greatly changed. Few will find that they wish to retain their rank. So this makes me think of everyone wanting to jump ship, especially I'm looking at like the Trump administration, people wanting to get out. One of the quotes in here that from Dolores Cannon, not from Nostradamus, is since World War II until the end of the time of troubles will almost encompass a century itself. And that lines up with if you look at Vedic astrology. And see, this is why I believe it, because it's not just like, oh, Nostradamus said it or my tarot card said it or whatever. It's like the Bible said it. Astrology, Vedic astrology specifically, both tropical and sidereal, honestly, are both lining up with it. But the sidereal, the Vedic astrology, really lines up with it. It just, and so then I look at this stuff and I'm like, man, it's really lining up, because according to astrology, the time, this turbulent time is supposed to end right around the 2040. That would be 100 years. Okay, so next. This talks about, I believe that like the Palestinians. Okay. So this says, through anger and internal hatreds, the exiles will hatch a great plot against the king. Secretly, they will place enemies as a threat, and his own old adherents will find sedition against them. So this is talking about terrorism that has arisen out of that area. And he's referring specifically to the Palestinians in this. And it's a forewarning of what is going to happen. I'm a little confused about the part where it says the exiles will hatch a great plot against the king. I'm wondering if that was Hamas and October 7th. Secretly, they will place enemies as a threat, and his own old adherents will find sedition against them. I'm wondering if that wasn't the October 7th attacks. Okay, so moving right along, because there's so much more, you guys. So now this is talking about the banking system, okay, I believe. And it says, the people of Geneva will dry up with thirst and hunger. Hope at hand will come to failure. The law of the Cevennes will be at breaking point. The fleet cannot be received at the great port. So this has to do with economics. This has to do with banking. But also it says the fleet cannot be received at the great port. What does that mean? Well, right now with tariffs, a lot of shipments are not being delivered, right? There's things that are being held or kept back or whatever. And so it's talking about the fleet cannot be received at the great port. So that one was like stuck out to me as well. So this one is kind of disturbing. Okay. So this one says, when the crow on a tower made of brick will do nothing but croak for 7 hours, it foretells death, a statue stained with blood, a tyrant murdered, people praying to their gods. Okay. When the crow on a tower made of brick will do nothing but croak for 7 hours. This, I believe, has to do with media, with the news cycle. So for 7 hours, they're on this tower, right? Croaking for 7 hours. It says it foretells death. We're seeing a lot of deaths happening. I want to talk about deaths, but just a second here. The next line is a statue stained with blood. What is the United States known for? The Statue of Liberty. A statue stained with blood. A tyrant murdered. People praying to their gods. I believe that this is foretelling what will happen to Trump. Now, this could be someone else. This could be more than one person, because a lot of Nostradamus' quatrains that he wrote actually apply to multiple situations, because life is cyclical, right? So life, we're like repeating the same things, and it's like, oh, there it is. Oh, there it is again. So what we're seeing right now, we saw before during World War II. It's just looping around again, okay? So that one has me really thinking like, this is where we are. And I'm wondering if that's where we're going with this Trump stuff. Another thing that I found really interesting is this quatrain. And it says, then when the eclipse of the sun will be in broad daylight, the monster will be seen. It will be interpreted quite differently. They will not care about expense. None will have provided for it. There was a solar eclipse in April of this last year. So we just had a solar eclipse. a solar eclipse. I believe that was kind of, and a lot of people were talking about that there was like really dark energy during that eclipse. Now, I'll tell you, I'm not normally one that like, when people were saying like, oh, really bad energies, dark energies came with that eclipse, I didn't buy into that. And let me tell you why. I am someone who I really shy away from dark energy. So where people will talk about like evil spirits that are like getting into people, or people are dark, or people are evil, or they see like evil things, I do not allow myself to be receptive to that energy because I don't want that in my life. Okay. So I make it very clear in my energy that I don't mess around with that. I don't mess around with Ouija boards. I don't mess around with dark spirits. I don't mess around with seances. I want no part of that. That is no part of what I want. So I won't go down the rabbit hole of like darkness and demons and dark spirits because that is just not my jam. I feel like once you open yourself up to that and you start researching it or learning about it, or just, I feel like you open a door, and it's a door that I won't open at all. I feel like I am too connected spiritually to even crack that door open, because if I crack it open, it's all going to come running through, and I want no part of it. So with that being said, when people talked about the eclipse, how it was like the kickoff for like this really dark stuff, I was just like, no way. There were a lot of crazy things that people did, like unaliving themselves, unaliving their families. There was some crazy stuff that happened at the eclipse, and I just thought people are losing their minds. Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of really dark energy, and Nostradamus talks a lot about planet placements, and he talks a lot about eclipses. So those are just a few of the quatrains. Nostradamus wrote a ton of them, so many of them. I don't even know how many. He wrote a ton, and they're very confusing, and they're definitely very open for interpretation. But all of this compounding is why I come on YouTube and I create these videos for you guys. It's not to scare you. And if you're watching these videos and you're feeling scared and it's making you feel worse than you felt when you started my videos, then please, like I said, like for your own mental health, like don't consume this, okay? And for those of you that want to see this information and want to know what's coming and want to know how to prepare and want to know how everything aligns and what's coming, because I'm going to tell you this. Yeah, we're headed for some dark times and we're headed for some scary times, but after this is a tough time that we're going to go through as humanity. It really is. And there are going to be a lot of people that are going to lose their lives. And I'm going to come back and talk about death. Okay. I know I said that before. I am going to come back and circle around and talk about it. But it's not going to be that way for everybody. Okay. And for those people that are in good energy, that are open, that are experiencing the transition from the 3rd dimension to the 5th dimension, those people that are open to the light, then we're going to be fine. Yeah, it's going to be tough, but we're going to make it through. But you're not going to make it through if I have a lot of people that are like, this is never going to happen. Okay, it might not happen, but I hope for your sake, it doesn't happen. But I know I'm ready just in case. And you know what? Everything could be fine, but let's take a look at what's going on in the world. We have Spain and Portugal that were just without power for like 12 hours. Everything went down. That can happen here. It totally can. So I'm prepared for that. We're definitely going to run into food shortages as this tariff thing continues, and not just food shortages. We are going to start running into shortages of everything. The supply chain takes about 8 weeks. It's been about 8 weeks. We're getting to the end of that, and we're going to start seeing shortages of everything. Well, if you're prepared and you're ready, you know it's coming, and we stock up a little bit, right? So it's that kind of stuff. So I do these videos not to scare people, not to get clicks, not to do like, oh, this is scary, let me scare you, let me like make money off of people's fear. That is absolutely not what's going on here, okay? I am trying to help people. And if I help you and you like my content, then hang out with me. And if this is not your content, if does not resonate with you, then don't watch this. Then it's not meant for you. Okay, I mentioned earlier in the video that I was going to come back to talking about death, and after I was done filming, I realized I forgot to come back and talk about death. So I'm inserting this little thing into the video right now to come back and talk about this. So the thing I wanted to talk about, I'm like smiling while I'm talking about it. It's not like something to smile about, but one of the things that I'm sure you guys have noticed is that in the news, it seems like every day someone famous is passing away at like record rates, right? Like it seemed like for years, very few people would, like famous people would pass away. You know, you'd hear about it. A lot of times they were just like older, but it seems like in the last few years, it's like story after story after story, and it's speeding up. And we're going to see more and more of this, and we are going to see more people exiting. And so when we talk about the shift that's happening, you know, and a lot of times I talk about how we have the you know, the split, right? And there's people that are going to go different directions. We are also going to see a lot of people leave the earth. And that's not a fun thing to talk about, but we need to, I mean, it's happening right now. And that's the thing, is we need to have like these honest conversations about what is actually happening. If we look at what's going on in Gaza right now, it is crazy how like that place is full of death. And that's just, I mean, that's just one place. There is what's going on in the Congo. There's what's going on in where's the other place? Sudan. It's happening all over the world. We're seeing people dying, and it's going to continue as this, you know, goes. And that can be a really tough thing. I don't want to come in here and make these videos and be like, oh, everything's fine, when things are gonna be rough. And we are going to see a lot of people exiting. And I think we're going to see more and more of it. I think that's why we're seeing so many people, unfortunately, taking their lives. And it's, you know, it's really important. This is why I tell you guys, like, what can we do? Well, we can reach out to our neighbor. We can be the change that we wish to see in the world. We can do something kind for someone else. We can reach out to someone who seems like they're down, because, you know, it's a very tough time for people. And what if we can be the person that positively impacts someone and helps them? So you're going to continue to see a lot of people exiting, and it's going to be tough. And no one said that this was going to be an easy time. I mean, if you look in the Bible, it's called 7 years of tribulation. It's not going to be easy. So I just wanted to add this point in, because I think it's important to kind of note. And I'm sure a lot of you have noticed how many famous people that have been exiting. So I hope that kind of clears it up as to why I create these videos. I know that sometimes they can be, you know, dark. I get it. Trust me, I don't like this stuff any more than you guys do, but it's coming. In my opinion, it's coming. And I have to try to help people. I have to. Okay, so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So anyway, if you like this video, if you get what I'm saying, give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. How do you feel? How are you feeling about this content? Do you find it helpful? Do you find it more stressful? What are your thoughts on this? I would really love to know. I appreciate you guys so much for hanging out with me, especially considering the tough stuff that we talk about. Okay, so I want you to know that I appreciate every single one of you so much. Thank you again. Just thank you for supporting me and supporting my channel. It's because of you guys that I'm able to do this. So thank you. Thank you. We are all in this together. Big, huge hugs, you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.